skittery for a couple of minutes before it settles in because crappy computer. Still waiting for Asurion to get me my main computer back, but knowing Asurion, it'll take him another month.
When did they say you're supposed to get it back?
Well, right now, if you go and look, it just says we had to order parts. It's taking longer than expected. That's all they say.
That's fun.
Yeah, and so the first time I have been with, they have had my computer since June, or let's see, it's now 2 months now since June 10th.
Wow,
it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Anyway, welcome to the Fat Overlords, whatever this is. Yeah, the show.
We finally get to announce it too, and I'm glad you're going to let me be the one. So I'm really excited, guys. Me and Salty Trekker have decided to come back together, and we're going to actually be releasing 7 seasons of fan fiction, but it's actually going to be Star Trek. It'll be during the DS9 Dominion War series. We've created our own studio. It's called the Neon Visual Copyright Law Studios. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the original 7 seasons of DS9 and make it ours by just upgrading it to HD and 4K. Because as you know, if you are a huge fan of Neon Visual, you can actually just upgrade something to HD or 4K and it becomes your property.
Yes, that's
by law.
Oh, Lordy.
So, anyway.
You had to just go there right off the bat, didn't you?
I did.
You just had to go there. And thank you. Mercer throws a buck in. Thank you.
I'm mislabeled, and I got a lot of people coming in because they're interested. Let's immediately jump into the actual thing, talking about Discovery selling its props.
Sure.
I accidentally put Discovery canceled confirmed without the question mark, and like,
wow, you just went straight for the well. Real quick, Mercer threw in a buck. I just want to say thank you, Mercer. But with an Orville quote, "The universe is not governed by individual perception. It matters what's true." That's true in the Orville universe, but apparently in YouTube, no. What's true doesn't matter. Everybody is a copyright attorney, and everybody's opinion is just true. That's what we've learned in the last 24 hours. But yeah, go ahead. So Discovery's canceled, apparently.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the line that we've been hearing. So what's happening is they're starting to sell off the props. I haven't looked too deep into it, but apparently they're selling off Season 1 props. And some people are coming out saying, well, see, it's confirmed canceled. They're selling all the props. It's gone, boys. And I don't know that that's necessarily what that actually means. I think it's more maybe they're not using 22nd century technology, so they're selling off those props. I mean, it's possible.
Well, the thing is, though, is that people don't stop to think about the fact that, well, like, for example, let's look at TNG. By TNG Season 4, they were using different phasers, different uniforms. The only thing that was really the same was the sets. But all the basic props had been changed and upgraded. In TOS, a lot of people don't realize that while the phasers and stuff were the same, they'd switched from cotton to polyester uniforms. And so while that doesn't sound like much, that meant all the old uniforms were thrown out.
Right.
And so upgrading and changing props from season to season on a sci-fi television show is nothing new. So this being, it's just that in the modern world, it's like now these props are, sought after collector's items. And even though, look, and James and I talked about this a little bit before the show. Yes, Discovery Season 1 was a train wreck. Even to a lot of Discovery fans, Discovery Season 1 was a train wreck. But I would want to, you know what? I would love to own the phaser that Michael Burnham pointed backwards in that one shot. I would love to own that phaser. You know.
And we discussed this a little bit before. Even if it wasn't a prop that I necessarily liked or thought was interesting, I do think that Discovery was the beginning of a new era, right? And it would be cool to own a prop from the flagship show. So, and what's happening is they're actually auctioning off the props or whatnot. If I can get one, if one is within range, probably not. They're probably all going to go for ludicrous amounts of money.
Right.
If I could get one though, I would definitely try to. But I imagine it's going to go for thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Right. I could see reasonably, like, I don't have the money, but, like, I could see reasonably spending a couple $100 on one of those phasers. But, yeah, I'm sure it would go for several thousand.
Right. You were talking about, didn't the original series also, like, burn some of their sets and stuff? Like, even before they were canceled?
A lot of the stuff was destroyed and thrown away and stuff, yeah. And of course, and a lot of people know the story how the shuttle in a wrecking yard, and someone found it and restored it.
Right.
But that's just, back in those days, those props nobody would ever consider them collector's items.
Right.
And so, like, I would love to know whatever happened. And I don't know if there's a story behind it. Maybe there is. I would love to know what happened to the original full-scale Jupiter 2 from Lost in Space, which I don't know if you've ever watched that show.
Lost in Space. We talked about this last time. I didn't get too far into it. I didn't watch the original. I saw the movie.
Right, which is like, decades after the original series.
Right, exactly.
The original series aired, was actually, if I remember correctly, predated Star Trek, and then for the first season at least.
Right.
But the Jupiter 2, they built a 1-to-1 scale set piece of, and it's basically a flying saucer.
Right.
And so I would love to know whatever happened to it.
Yeah. I don't know. The only thing I hate about this whole Discovery, if this is the beginning for it and it is canceled, and I swear to God, there was somewhere that they said they were only going to have 3 seasons. I can't find it anymore, but I swear that was in media somewhere. But what's going to happen, which is annoying, is people are going to say, well, it's canceled, we were finally right, people hated it. When I think more the show probably just ran its natural course for them. I don't know that they wanted to go anywhere else with it, because they have so many other properties to focus on, I don't think it's going to be canceled because it's a failure. I think it's going to be canceled due to other reasons and other focuses. And then we just got to deal with that.
Come on.
Are you gone?
I'm back.
Oh, cool. I was talking to myself for a second.
My internet just dropped for a minute. Hopefully the stream is back on. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, it looks like we're back on. I am so sorry, guys. I think I got canceled by, I think we're being attacked by Kuroga, or maybe, somebody that thinks they own the copyright to the stream.
We probably got taken down by Neon Vision, as you know, because if people are watching on my side, they actually see a Lacars thing there. Which, as you know, Lacars is used in Star Trek, which Neon Visual has done intros to, which means he owns the Lacars as well. So
yeah.
There is that occurred.
Yeah.
God, that is so
And
stupid.
Mercer thing, actually, that's a kind of an interesting point. So Mercer, with another super chat, was talking about how they recreated the sets in 10 from 2001. And that's something that happens a lot of the time with films where they don't. If you look at the Star Trek films, the Enterprise bridge is different in every Star Trek film. At least, if you look at the first 6 Star Trek films, the Enterprise bridge is different in every one of them. Right. And because they end up rebuilding it.
Right. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Again, they could be selling props for so many reasons. It's just frustrating that we even have to deal or talk about this until anything really has been discussed.
Right.
So,
and sorry if the lip sync is off. That could be because of the weird internet thing. I apologize, but there's really not much I can do about it right now. Sci-Fi Nation throws in a couple of bucks, just says hail Kuroga because he's a jerk. But thank you.
He only says hi on my side. He gives money on yours. What the hell is up with
that?
Yeah,
it's weird. People like to give me money because I don't know. Maybe because I'm an old man that's broke and sick and all that.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of broke, get this. So I got a prescription for a new medication that's supposed to help with my MS, which is awesome. Guess how much my copay is for it?
I don't know. Probably less than what I'd pay. Well, how much is it?
$1,035.
Really? That's
Yes.
Wow.
That's what they want me to pay for it. Now, they have a copay assistance program, the manufacturers of the drug. So I'm applying for that to see if I can get some help. Because I called, I said, look, there ain't no way I'm paying $1,000, and that's per month is what I would end up paying.
Wow.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Right.
As much as I would love to, because if the drug actually does make me functional, it would be worth it. But I don't have $1,000 a month to spend on a drug. The retail price on it, like if you don't have insurance, is $6,000.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything you're going to be able to do? You got to be able to get it. You got to be able to work.
Sell my house? I don't know. That's
its option.
Yeah, I don't know. We're working on it. We're applying for the help, but we'll see what happens because we got to get the drug somehow, and we don't even know if it's going to work.
Right.
But we'll see. Anyway, but we just found that out today. Anyway, but yeah, I would buy a prop if I could afford to, but yeah.
Well, what you need to do, I think we found the reason. You use your copay, you eat up the money, and then you start selling that stuff. I think we found how you're going to afford those props.
So sell some of the drugs and
right.
Because that stuff has got to give you a good buzz if it's $1,000 a shot.
So. Yeah. I do have a question for you that I think is interesting. It looks like when you look at Discovery season 4, they are going back to a little bit of exploration. Are you going to be watching and hopefully excited?
I'll watch it.
Maybe?
I will absolutely watch it, and I'm hoping for the best. It does look like we got the problem is, I think that. Discovery, I think there's a couple of problems. One is I don't think the serialized format works as well for Trek as it does for Star Wars. I think episodic tends to work better for Trek. Because it doesn't lend itself to, because with Trek, they end up getting into these overly dramatic, let's talk about relationships, let's talk about the feels, rather than let's talk about exploring the universe and the human condition and mankind's boundaries and stuff. Instead, it's, oh golly, I missed you, and let's cry and hug and have ice cream. And that's just not good adventure.
Right.
And so I think that's been a problem. But I will definitely watch it and hope for the best. I've watched the last 3 seasons, and there are things I've liked in each.
And he's gone. Now that he's gone, we can actually begin having the real conversations. I did not do that on purpose, but it is at least something positive that we can talk about with you guys. Is it gone on his side too? Oh, it is, and that's a perfect image of me right there. No, it's not. Hold on, is it still going? Nope, gone on his side too. So yeah, what do you guys think when it comes to...
There it is.
Welcome back.
Sorry, it dropped again. Oh, I see. And can you see me?
I can.
Maybe? Mm-hmm. I see you frozen.
Oh, do you not hear me?
Okay, now I hear you.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That's what I thought. So anyway, I've never been really all that impressed with the argument that they cry a lot. I could find things that happen in TNG, the original series. How many Nazi planets we're going to run on, or gangster planets, or what? There are all kinds of consistent annoyances that occur. But I don't know. So I guess, you like Deep Space Nine, right? It had consistent themes that ran through it.
It had themes that ran through it, but it wasn't purely serialized.
Well, the last 6 episodes were. Do you think that was weak?
And I think the last 6 episodes were weak for the series. In fact, I think and that's something you saw the video I put up today or yesterday. The Pa race, in my opinion, was the weakest storyline they came up with. And I think that the whole thing with Kai Wynn and Gul Dukat and their little relationship at the end of the series and stuff was absolutely beyond stupid. And the fact that they kind of ended Deep Space Nine like it was a freaking soap opera was ridiculous. And I think that season 7 is a grand example of what happens when writers run out of things to do.
Okay.
So that's just my opinion. I know that some people like what happened in season 7. I'm obviously not one of them. But I think that season 7 was more like Star Trek Discovery than the rest of Deep Space Nine, in that it became kind of very soap opera-y, more focused on the relationships than what was going on.
Right.
And oh, look, Sinatra City Convention has donated $1, and
I'll be right back real quick. Keep them entertained.
Right.
Keep them entertained.
Great. So, thank you very much. And for those of you on Laura Reloaded's channel that couldn't hear, it says, good news, Mr. Crawford. The convention has been extended for 6 weeks. The Star Trek Discovery Convention. We're still waiting for you to accept your VIP dinner and autograph session, which I've already told the Sinatra City Convention I will not be accepting. I don't know why my internet is cut in and out a couple of times. I apologize. My internet sucks.
Agreed.
And the funny thing is, I actually have really good internet most of the time. I don't know if it's because of the Crapmaster 2000 computer or if it's actually a problem with my internet. I got to figure out. But
I guess
anyway.
again, I don't know. I think that you like the Borg though, right? Because that's a consistent arc that runs through. It's just not right next to each other. There was at least
the Borg is a villain.
There were a 2 to 3 episode build up before Best of Both Worlds, and then you had Best of Both Worlds, which were right next to each other. That ran as First Contact.
You had one episode. Well, 2 episodes if you count Neutral Zone.
No, so you had more than Neutral Zone. You had
Neutral Zone and Q-Who.
And then there was another one that involved the Borg. I'll bet you money there was. Hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
Okay. Does Discovery have a warp core?
Okay,
yeah. That's what I thought.
But
that's what I thought. I thought. Hold on.
So to answer your question, CDJ, the warp core, the Crapmaster 2000 is barely holding up. But it is the Crapmaster 2000.
There's iBorg. So
that's after Best of Both Worlds.
Okay, that's fine. It's still a consistent line that's running through.
And I think iBorg was the beginning of the end of the Borg for me. And I think Descent, which Descent 1 and 2 was barely qualifies as Borg, because at that point it was really more of a lore storyline than Borg. And I didn't care for the Borg. In fact, I think that the problem with both iBorg and Descent is we start seeing that if you make the Borg individuals or you put the Borg under leadership, you screw them up. And we see the ultimate example of that in First Contact, where you add a queen to the collective, and now the Borg suck. So I did not like the Borg. I liked the concept of the Borg themselves, but I did not like the queen.
Did you like the episodes?
As far as post, the episodes of the Borg that I like are Q-Who, Best of Both Worlds, Scorpion, and Regeneration.
Okay, so you
like
and
by the way,
Contact,
the Queen does not appear in any of those.
You like First Contact, though, right?
As a film, First Contact is well made. As a Star Trek adventure, not particularly.
Okay, so if there's 4 episodes, that's okay. But if there's any more than that, then you don't. Because I mean, when we look at the Borg, that's an ongoing arc. It's just in between filler episodes. If you're focused on the Borg,
I wouldn't say it's filler in between.
I mean, if we're looking at the Borg as the arc,
I mean, you could argue that. Well, yeah, but you could argue the same thing with the Klingons in the original series, right?
So,
the Klingons appear several times, but there's a difference between having a reoccurring villain and having a completely serialized story. Where in Discovery they have one story from episode one, and of course a season is only half a season, where it's 10 episodes, but from episode 1 to episode 10 it's one story and nothing else.
I would argue that from TNG into First Contact, probably Voyager, but I'm not going to argue that, from TNG into DS9 into First Contact, you have a serialized story. It's just in between a lot of other stories.
Right. I can see that.
So, I mean, so there is serialization there. It's just like spread out.
But that doesn't make a single serialized story good, because spreading it out over time, builds up that anticipation of the next time you get to see the Borg. Right. Like if you see the Borg every week, then seeing the Borg is not exciting. And that's also one of the reasons that Voyager kind of screwed the Borg, because they started bringing the Borg in all the time, and so the Borg became less and less exciting because, well, if you can beat the Borg every week, they're not particularly threatening.
I don't disagree with that, but I was more, again, just talking to what we see with TNG and the DS9 and First Contact, because I think they screwed it up with Voyager. I agree that the less mysterious they are, the less interesting they are, especially with the Borg.
Well, that's why I think the Queen was a huge mistake. I think I understand that that wasn't their original intent, that the studio kind of forced that on them,
right. And he is gone, good friends. Yet again, we live in a society where the higher the Pkwy. Yeah, I should have.
Wait. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, maybe.
I'm still here.
Are you there? Okay, just making sure. My internet froze again, so you gotta love it. So when you hear me say wait and wait and wait, it means I think everything's frozen, just so you know, if you heard me say that.
I didn't at any point.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, so when they, with the Borg, because I love, like, with the whole concept when they met the Borg in Q-Who, and their whole thing about the fact that Deanna was talking about the fact that they're only one mind.
Right.
The entire, collective is one thinking mind. They are a super consciousness. They're not going to make tactical errors. They're not going to make bad judgment calls. And you think about that kind of an adversary, and it is scary.
Right.
And you also think about the fact that they're not even interested in talking to you. They just want to analyze your technology and see if it's something worth salvaging.
Right.
And then, of course, they weren't even, and so then now they changed it in Best of Both Worlds to where, okay, maybe humanity is worth
It's not his night. What movies 2 through 6 count as serialized story, as they all have a continuous story? Only the later 4 or 5 of 5 getting discarded as absurd.
There we go.
I'll ask him when he's back.
Are you there?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay. I heard you say I'll ask him when he's back.
Yeah, just so you can finish, and then someone had a question.
Okay. So, anyway, so that whole idea was terrifying. And even in Best of Both Worlds, the idea of being assimilated into that was terrifying, especially the fact that at the end of it, Picard was saying how he remembered every moment of it. And so, but he couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
And that was absolutely horrific. And then in First Contact, all of a sudden the Borg are zombies under the control of the Queen.
Right. Well, like you said, that was a decision by the executives that they were
right.
They couldn't mess with. I think that what they should have done is gave all the lines of the Queen to the collective. How scary would it be? Is every time they interacted, everyone around them talked.
Right. That would have been better if, as she talked, the collective talked with her.
Right. Or just not
She
even
truly
her.
was. Yeah. So she truly was the voice of the
Right.
collective, not just a person controlling the collective.
Right. Or again, not even her. Just like have the collective do it. Like there's no one person they can focus on. Just the collective always talk to them. So a question from Mike Hinden for you. I'm not. Would Star Trek movies 2 through 6 count as a serialized story, as they all have a continuous, he says story arc, I assume, with 4/5 of 5, with 4/5 of 5 getting discarded as absurd. I mean,
Well, I wouldn't call it. You see, the problem is that there's a difference between having continuity and being a serialized story. A serialized story means you have one story that is told in multiple chapters over a series, and so as opposed to like, is Star Trek 2 a chapter in an ongoing story, or is it a story that is then in the same continuity as Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4, Star Trek 5, Star Trek 6? I think Star Trek 2 is its own self-contained story, as is Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4, unfortunately Star Trek 5, and then Star Trek 6.
Well, the search for Spock...
Star Trek 5 doesn't really fit very well.
The search for Spock can't exist without the Wrath of Khan.
Right, they're in the same continuity, but that doesn't mean that, like... they're still like the search for Spock it's not this, like, even though it's dependent upon like all of Star Trek. Even it's kind of funny because even in the first few episodes of Trek, it just kind of assumes this stuff even though you don't. Like Star Trek from the very beginning, except for in TNG, when this became more important in the 80s than it was in the 60s. In the 60s, they just kind of, he's Captain Kirk. He's the captain of the ship. You'll catch on. Right. And so they just kind of always assume you already knew this stuff. Now, yes, it's true that in Search for Spock, you had...
So I definitely should let Sid Alpha jump in. I think we'd do a lot better if I let Sid. I agree, because he could just then pop in and start saying random stuff, and then when Anti-Trucker comes back, it actually makes it a little more interesting without him here, because then I can start talking. Never know if he's going to be back. If he's not, don't know what's going to happen. The Borg and Jedi suffered heavily from exploring too much. Should have left them shadowy, mysterious, and cool, as the saying goes. Leave them wanting more. I would almost say that from the... did he die? I would almost also say that from the Sith as well. I think there was a drop when it comes to the Sith. Oh no! I'm in the show. I bet it looks weird on that now. Look at that, see? Now it's all kinds of interesting. Watch this, watch this. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I can go back to the main one now. Can I? No, I can't, because it's focused on this. And then you guys won't be able to see me, so you're going to get to look at it like this, because I have to use this special stuff. He doesn't even use Zoom or anything like that. He utilizes StreamYards. I'd say Star Trek 3 and 4 can't stand alone and need Wrath of Khan to make sense. Send me in the show, buddies.
Hey, I don't know, man. This is just getting stupid. So on my side, can you hear me?
I can, in fact, hear you.
Okay. Yeah, my stream just kind of died on me. And let's see.
Are you using Wi-Fi? Or, yeah,
no, I'm plugged right into the modem. I have no idea why it's doing this. And I have fiber internet.
Right.
And so I'm assuming AT&T is having issues.
Well, is the rest of your internet going down?
Yeah, the wife is having trouble. I mean, it's the whole house is going down. It's not just me. And the modem is in this room with me. It's not like I'm like across the house or something.
Right.
But yeah, I lost my stream completely.
That sucks. I mean, we can keep going for a little bit unless you don't think this is going to work out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to set up a stream again here. Let me just do it as a new stream. I'm sure I'll just do it as a new event. Oops.
I'd say Star Trek 3 and 4 can't stand alone and need Wrath of Khan to make sense. What was 4?
4 was Save the Whales.
Oh. Why would that need Wrath of Khan to make any sense?
4 needs 3, just because you need to know that the Enterprise was destroyed and they're on the bird of prey, and on Vulcan. They are, in a serialized sense, they are a singular continuity with those stories. It does make sense, but you don't. But the thing is that they are still different. Like, they're different adventures in a serialized world. It's not the same thing as if you had one movie or you had 3 movies where Khan is the villain in all 3 movies. That's what we're getting out of Discovery. Is you have one villain that's like, let's say you had 6 movies and sorry if you're on my side trying to join the new stream on mine. I apologize. My internet is cutting in and out. Hopefully it sticks around for a couple minutes this time.
So keep explaining that to him real quick.
Okay. So great. If my internet dies, we'll have a live stream on Laura's channel of an empty chair, which I'm sure if you're watching Laura's stream, that's what you're probably used to, is a live stream of an empty chair. In the meantime, let me see if I can bring up my channel here. Yeah, it looks like there's actually 8 people watching my live stream already. I'm shocked. And yes, Isaiah, my live stream is called Oops because my other one died. That's just my clever title because, I couldn't come up with a better name on the fly, assuming that this one actually lasts more than 2 minutes. So we were talking about serialization of the Star Trek films, and I can't see Laura's chat, but I'll say this and start kind of addressing what Laura's saying. So you're right that Star Trek's 2, 3, 4, 3 and 4 do require, 3 requires 2, 4 requires 3. That is absolutely true. But the antagonist of 3 is Krug. The antagonist of 4 is the whale probe. They are not the same antagonist. They are not the same story. They are just in the same continuity. In Discovery, in season 1, the entire season is about the Klingon War, except for their little side trip to the Mirror Universe, which was just an excuse to get Mirror Georgiou and to get rid of Lorca because everybody liked Lorca, I guess. In season 2, the whole thing was about the Red Angel, right? And then in season 3, it was all about the Burn, right? So each season was a singular story, except season 1 was kind of about 2 stories because the Klingon thing was its own thing. A similar thing with Picard. In Picard, while Picard was kind of a bit of a convoluted mess, the entire season was about the androids and stopping the android apocalypse. And so there's a difference between having a singular antagonist over the course of an entire season, and if you're talking about the films, over the course of the entire film series, and having a differing antagonist from time to time to time, and just having the same continuity. Like, for example, in Deep Space Nine. Sure, you have reoccurring villains. Sure, you have Gul Dukat shows up every now and then, but Gul Dukat's not the villain of every single episode. If he was, we would not love Gul Dukat like we do. Gul Dukat is a great villain, but if he was the villain of every single episode, we would get so sick of him.
So you think all serialized works just aren't as good as just random
No, not at all. I think serialized can work, but they have to be designed that way. Like, for example, The Expanse. But the difference between The Expanse and Star Trek is The Expanse is an adaptation of a novel where they take a singular work and divide it into chapters. So The Expanse, each episode is designed as a chapter in a larger story. In Star Trek, it was not, does at least it feels to me, and you tell me if you think I'm full of crap, but I think it doesn't feel like they actually had an overarching story. It felt like they wrote a chapter and then they just wrote another chapter and then they wrote another chapter, but they didn't really know the whole story as they were writing the chapters. It felt like they were just kind of going in a general direction, but they didn't really know where they were going.
Right. I was trying to think. I was considering what you're saying. Now that you've expanded a little bit, it makes a little more sense. I don't know, because again, I don't know that because I liked the serialization of Deep Space Nine. There were places that they went,
I did too. I did too.
There was places that I think it went a little long, or there were arcs that I didn't like, or parts of it, like the Paw Wraiths was silly. I agree, but the serialization itself.
But notice that Deep Space Nine never serialized an entire season.
Right.
They would do like 3 to 6 episode arcs.
Right.
But and that I think is fine. But I think serializing an entire season is a mistake. And I think that's what. They also didn't dwell on a singular villain too much.
Well, the original series, I mean, had like, what was it, half of its episodes where there was a villain, like the Klingons. They did like to dwell sometimes, weren't they? The Klingons reoccurred like all the time in the original
No, the Klingons were actually only in like a half a dozen episodes, the original series, if that.
Wasn't there like a dozen episodes, and that's about all the original series was? Or?
There's 79.
Oh, okay. I'm giving you more an hard time than anything.
I know you know that, but you just hate the original series because you're young. But
it is one of the weaker series, I think.
Yeah, I know, you're a jerk.
It's better than original. I mean, I like original Trek, like TNG.
Yeah. Anyway. The funny thing is that like we think about the classic baddies, the Klingons and the Romulans, they only appeared in a handful of episodes in the original series. It's just that they stood out, and that's why they became the greats from that era. I think a lot of it has to do with Mark Leonard's performance as the Romulan commander. I think that the fact that we got such memorable Klingons, Kang, Koloth, and Kor were all great Klingons, and that's why we remember them.
Right.
And so, because they were memorable villains, their races became the staples of Trek. But there's also a bunch of other races that we just kind of forgot about.
Right.
Like the First Federation. Boy, how handy would the First Federation be during the Dominion War if they bring a few dozen of those mile-long spaceships to show up and fight the Dominion? But where have they been?
Right. Well, well, that's a Roddenberry thing, I think, too, is that he wanted to decanonize a lot of the original series, which I was really surprised to find out.
Roddenberry actually didn't give a crap about canon, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand. And it's like during TNG, Roddenberry would say, "Well, the only thing he really cares about at the moment is TNG."
Right.
And that was his attitude, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand about the way writers are, is what they care about is what they're writing right now, not about 20 years ago. And yes, when they were writing TNG, it was only 20 years ago. So,
Well, I think too that he didn't have as much control as he liked to say, and when he was given the reins He wanted to do it like his way.
And Mercer, as far as I know, no Star Trek books are considered canon.
It's debatable if the current Discovery comics or the current Picard and Discovery comics and books are canon or not. But I don't believe they are. But they're not going out of their way to say one way or the other. Alex says, I'm Lore's age and love the original series. I understand, though, that it's hard to watch because there is often no B story, so it feels super long. I don't know that there isn't, like, B stories and such as that. I give Anti-Trekker a harder time more than anything else. I grew up with TNG, though, so that's what I identify with more than anything else. I don't hate the original series, though.
We tend to... It's a simple fact that we tend to... As far as Trekkies, we tend to love the Trek we grew up with. And so, for me, growing up in the late 60s, early 70s, obviously I grew up with the original series. That's what, is in my heart. I will always have a soft spot for the original series. For Lore, growing up with TNG and DS9, that's going to be, when he's my age and and people are like, what do you mean you don't like Star Trek Quantum? And he's going to be like, no, man, Star Trek Quantum, man, you need to watch TNG. TNG is for sissies, And that's just the argument he's going to have.
Me, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say.
Then people born today, growing up with Star Trek Quantum or whatever it's called, are going to be having that fight,
Well, again, for me, the Next Generation is the proto Starfleet officer. Like, if you remove the idiocy when it comes to his atheism, Picard is the proto Starfleet officer, and then like Sisko is the pragmatic Starfleet officer, and that's the way I generally look at it. Just because when I grew up, I was watching TNG, and Picard talked about how awesome humanity was and how they could do no wrong, and then they did a lot of wrong. Oh, I lost him again. That's great. I'm Lore's age, but I love TOS. It was a great way. Okay. That's a somewhat reductive argument, though, says Sit Out. What's the reductive argument? Are you talking about me or are you talking to him? Or are you talking about what we grew up with? I mean, even if it's a reductive argument, it's true. It's when you look at how we look at things, humanity, things just seemed better when we were kids. That's one of the reasons I think the fandom menace is able to proliferate and do as well as it does, is because the people remember the Next Generation, they remember Deep Space Nine, and they think, my God, that was just the greatest time ever. Like, back then, it literally was Jesus's day, and nothing bad happened when I was a kid, and that's how I choose to remember it, even though stuff was pretty brutal back then too. And so then they come back and they're like, oh my God, can you believe all this new stuff? Do you guys think it was a mistake in Nemesis? Picard doesn't give Riker the Enterprise after the died of Data. Should he step down? Do I think it was a mistake that Picard didn't step down in Nemesis? I would say no. I don't really see a reason. Or are you talking about should Riker have stepped down? Sorry, I hear you. What's going on?
Am I still streaming? Because let me see.
You're not on mine, no.
No. I mean, like, it looks like, I think my stream is still going.
Oh, it's back.
Yeah. No, I mean my actual live stream on my channel. I think it's going. Yeah.
No, it looks like it finished. I don't.
No, the one called Oops, the second one. It looks like XSplit shows it's still going.
Oops, I did.
Yeah. People are saying, barely. Yeah, sorry guys. My internet just sucks balls tonight. I am sorry. I'm really I hate this computer. I hate everything. I blame Life with Matthew and Lore and this computer, which is it's Life with Matthew's fault. Generally, things are Life with Matthew's fault.
The original series has more conservative messages than TNG, so does DS9, so I put them above TNG. Here's an interesting thing about that. Not to interrupt you, that does suck, I agree, man. But when you look at during the day, it seems like the things that we consider more conservative now was either center or even liberal to a degree. Because I think, like, when you look at, and that's not to say they didn't have conservative messages or anything. I just think it was more maybe pragmatic. Because a lot of the things like interracial kissing, I feel like was a more progressive value than it was a conservative one. I don't know. You were there. You were like a teenager before Martin Luther King was even like born, so you could probably speak to.
Let me punch you in the face real quick. First of all, and you know, I know I've said this a million times, but it drives me crazy because, like, with the interracial kissing and stuff like that, progressive does not mean liberal nor conservative. It simply means progressive. And I hate the fact that liberals have co-opted the term progressive to mean liberal, because just because Kirk kissed Uhura does not mean that they're pro-choice or pro-life. It doesn't mean that they're pro-military or anti-military. It just means that a white dude kissed a black chick.
I mean, I'll say liberal if you want to. I'll say liberal if you want to. But
you know what I'm saying. And that's something that's always bugged me, is that people think that that interracial means left or right. It doesn't.
Right.
You know, and that's something that bugs me. But I will say this. I do, you know, if you look at Deep Space Nine and the original series are very pro-military, where TNG is not.
Right.
And in fact, what's interesting is TNG, especially the first couple seasons, when Roddenberry was a showrunner, was very anti-military.
I mean, you even have him saying that it's not a military, like literally,
right.
Even though they have ranks and so. But I mean, like. So I would say that for the people who were critical of the interracial kiss, they probably leaned more right than not. Now that's not to say there weren't people on the right that were okay with it or even pushed it. It's just saying when you look at who the critics are, they were probably right, probably far right. But that's now becomes normalized. So when people say they had, and I agree with you, military thing, but it's just interesting because when people say, well, they had like a lot of right-leaning values, some of that stuff during the time the right got pretty upset about. So it's
there were some things. Well, it's interesting because on the original the original series was definitely anti-hippie, which is a conservative message even back then.
Sure.
And they actually had an episode about the hippies that was not portraying the hippies in a positive light. They had but at the same time, like, I like the idea that Spock actually went so far as to say he agreed with the ideals, but not with the way they were doing things. Mm-hmm. And that was actually an interesting way to put it, in that the hippies, they, you know, and even back then, the hippies had some wonderful ideas about love and peace and let's all get along kind of thing. But then they also thought that we should just tear down the system and not bother to be productive and stuff like that. So there was some good and bad to their ideas, and I like the fact that they dealt with that. In the, you know, an episode that is funny because people.
We're gonna have to call it soon. I don't think he's gonna be able to stay that much. I'd rather get assimilated than lose my freedom. Wouldn't getting assimilated mean you lose your freedom?
I hate you. Oh, there it is. Hey, can you hear me? Yeah. So in the episode "Let That Be Your Last Battlefield," Steve Shive's favorite episode to say how liberal Star Trek is, he misses the point that they show both sides as being bad, right? They show both the oppressor and the oppressed as being bad. That the hate coming from both Loki and Beale was destructive, and they ended up killing each other. Not that Loki was innocent and Beale was bad. You know, they weren't trying to pick a side. They were just showing that hate was futile, and that was, you know, that was a beautifully done episode. But a lot of people missed that point, and so in various episodes, or Loki, you're right. I'm sorry, Mercer. But in a lot of episodes, they were trying to show a balanced perspective, not just everything is clear-cut left or right.
And he's gone again. Lore is correct, though. Both sides have moved left. There are stances that conservatives have now that they don't have it in the 90s. It's an analogy to current times. It is indeed. Steve Shives, before he became utterly self-righteous, was fun to... We and Anti-Tracker were actually pretty good friends with Steve Shives. He was tagged me in. I'll have you on at some point, said Alpha. I would enjoy it. We actually did live streams and podcasts with Steve Shives back in the day. Both Anti-Tracker and I were Christians, whereas Steve Shives was an atheist, and we'd have discussions like that.
It hit my face. If you're happy and you know.
So I think we can hear you. I think we'll go a little bit longer, and then we gotta let it go, man. I don't think your stuff can handle it tonight.
I'm telling you, I'm just mad. And Xfoot stopped my stream again. So I'm just going to tell everybody to go to Lore's stream. Go to Lore's stream. All right, so I will just finish up on your stream because my stream is freaking dead. All right, so where were we?
I don't know, something about you were a huge fan of...
oh, yeah, so...
what the hell's his name? Not Nerdrotica? No, that's not his name. Nerd... something. I don't know. Phantom Menace channel. I forget his name now. I'm tired.
You're a jerk. That's what
I was about to make a sexual innuendo between you and him, but I couldn't remember.
I'm sure you were. You like to do that. You kind of...
So anyway, you were saying?
I was about to say that, I hate you. But I think the original series did tend to lean a little to the right, but not far right, for sure. And I think that then in TNG, I think that Roddenberry, who is a typical Hollywood leftist, wanted to overcompensate because he finally had some creative control, because he didn't have much creative control in the original series. A lot of people don't understand that. They think and that's the funny thing, how many times people on both the left and the right think that the original series was Roddenberry's creative vision, when Roddenberry had very little control over the original series. It was Gene Coon and DC Fontana that shaped Star Trek, not Roddenberry.
Right.
But people don't understand that. And so then when Roddenberry got some control, we got Star Trek the Motion Picture and the first 2 seasons of TNG. In other words, boring Trek. That's what, and by the way, the only episode of the original series that Roddenberry really had direct creative control over, The Cage. More boring Trek. All right. You want Roddenberry's vision, The Cage, TMP, and the first season of the original series, or of TNG. The most boring Trek that ever existed. That's what Roddenberry wanted. So, and you know what he hated? Every time the Federation was portrayed as the military. Things like Star Trek II, Star Trek VI, stuff like that.
Right.
So, but anyway, I digress. So, in TNG became...
What I was trying to say is Picard feels responsible for the death of Data, and he feels guilty for it. And since Riker is his first officer for 15 years, it's time for Picard to give it to him. I don't know that they should pass the ball like that. I understand what you're saying. I could actually see that being logical, but I don't think that a lot of people would like it. I'm not a huge Nemesis fan, but the way that it ends...
That was great. My frozen picture looked like I had a stroke.
I mean...
that was awesome. I just like... It's like...
But just to finish that off, because someone was asking, I think... I don't like Nemesis overall, but I think the way it ended... where Picard was continuing to be the captain and Riker was going to a new ship to continue the story as the younger generation, I think was a fine ending, even a satisfying one if you ignore everything else about Nemesis. Sorry,
with Boimler.
Yeah, that's exactly the way they should have done. I agree with you. I think they should have a live action with Boimler there. I think that would be awesome.
I think that'd be freaking awesome. I think I like Boimler, and it was obvious that Jonathan Frakes had a lot of fun. With you could hear it in his voice that he was having a great time.
Right. He used to follow me because I attacked Phantom Menace one time. I think he still does. Hey, do you want to show him? So someone brought that up, that that what was his name? Badgie was attacking the internet. You want to show your new? Yeah. So according to Neon Visual, he now owns Badgie, as you can see. So Badgie is now owned by that. Thank you for your fan appreciation. Well, thank you for being fans. I truly, sincerely meant that. We're going to end this pretty shortly, guys. Like I said before, Riker passed up on a command 2 times. If that were to happen in today's military, that office would never have been offered again. Yeah. Well, they even said that. Roddenberry's only idea is, what if they meet God? That really was one of his. But yeah, that was even brought up in, I think, Best of Both Worlds, wasn't it? It's like, he only has this so many... No, it wasn't Best of Both Worlds. But he only has this so many times. And then people are going to go past him. What's up, Mercer? Hope you're doing well. I liked Nemesis, hated Insurrection. I don't like Insurrection nor Nemesis. I didn't think either of them were good. Both of them have, like, devastating faults. But, yeah, he actually made that, so now he owns Badgie, according to Neon Visual. So I'm really proud to be the I'm really glad to know the creator of Badgie. I really am. Nemesis is not that bad at all. Jesus. Nemesis is not that bad at all. What's up? What's up,
okay,
buddy?
so you saw Badgie. Right, there's Badgie. Hey, everybody! I'm gonna kill you! Right, so yeah.
Can I teach you a lesson? That's his thing. Can I teach you a lesson?
Yeah.
So awesome. Nemesis apparently wasn't that bad, even though Moon people made a secret ship of death that the Romulans never caught on to. And then that it has multiple shields, so in case your one shields fail, then you have secondary shields, and then it has...
I thought that was, I thought the scimitar was...
The radiation that kills everything. It's like the ultimate game ender.
Yeah, I thought that the first of all, I think that the Next Generation, the biggest problem with the Next Generation movies is that they were all made by people that never didn't know how to make movies. They were made by a bunch of people that basically made Next Generation TV episodes that were stretched out to be movies. And so, like Star Trek Nemesis would have actually been a good 2-part episode.
Right.
And you could say that about pretty much all of the Star Trek Next Gen movies, except First Contact. If you you need to get rid of the Queen.
I think that really was the real major thing that brought it down. Of everything, I think if they got rid of the Queen, it would have been a lot better.
I'm still not a big fan of turning Picard into freaking Bruce Willis, but that's. I think they tried to make Picard into an action hero, which is not Picard.
Red Letter Media said that about the entire cast. Like, they made the entire cast in several movies into action heroes, and they're not. They're just not. It's a cerebral show, so that's why it doesn't feel right. That's
I remember when they were doing I saw a promo thing for Insurrection, and it was Nemesis, and it was Jonathan Frakes was doing an interview, and he's like, yeah, we're going to finally give the fans the action that they want. And it's like, the fans don't want action.
Right.
How can you be that tone deaf? You're Riker.
Well, plus, just the writing, especially in Insurrection, it's like, because if you compare that to, what happened in the series, like when they were moving a population that were basically Indians.
Right. And Picard took the exact opposite position.
They didn't have a problem, but by God, if you try to move some white settlers, now we have some problems. Yeah.
Anyway. That was kind of stupid. They basically took the plot of an episode and just flipped it.
Right, and I'm just saying, and just the optics of it too is funny if you look at it. Especially.
We can't move white people.
Yeah. they have rights. Anyway, that's horrible. God, man, people don't think through the movies. So we're going to end this.
Data should have been running around when he took off the invisible suit and said, "White lives matter."
Oh, no. That's how I got canceled off of this.
Yeah.
Lore Reload does not endorse anything the Salty Tracker. Anyway, so we're about to end it. what we want to end it on? Because I don't think your internet can handle much more of this.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. I think the internet's just trying to, it realized that I'm going to pay $1,000 a month for my meds, and it's like, yeah, screw that noise.
Yeah, it was done with it too. Or maybe it's against you again. Like the world, it's like, you know what? Nope, we're not going to allow you to actually pay for that. That's insane, man. That sucks. I'm sorry.
That happens, but I fortunately with their little program, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have to pay all that, but it's still stupid. I mean, the idea that the medication just by itself costs $6,000 a month is.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, like, what if, God forbid, I had to like get that medicine? I don't have insurance like you. It doesn't even. I guess that wouldn't cover catastrophic or anything like that because those are Apple operations. Ah, wow, I just had an aneurysm. Those are actual operations that catastrophic handles. That's insane. That is dumb. That is dumb. Anyway. Oh, he's gone again.
Hey, you're back.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
So you're saying you don't have insurance?
I have catastrophic, but I don't have insurance that would cover that. That's what.
Does it cover prescriptions?
I'll have to take a look. I've never really had an issue with it. Because the stuff
I would look into that because if you, granted, you're still fairly young, and MS usually doesn't come on until hits you until you're in your 50s or 60s. But if you do get something like MS, where you need some kind of massive medication like that, that's going to cost a lot, you'll definitely want the insurance because, yeah. The problem is that, worst case scenario, like if I go on to full disability, which is a real possibility, then of course I would have to go on to Medicare, right?
Right.
And so they're like, yeah, we got this great program that'll help pay up to half of your copay. I'm like, great, unless you're on Medicare.
Right.
I'm like, well, what happens if I'm on Medicare? Because if I'm on Medicare, I was like, so you're just screwed. You don't get any help, And well, there are private foundations that might help you, but you got to apply. Really? So the way it works is that you want $6,000 for this medication
monthly,
and people that are on a fixed income from the government can't get any help unless a private foundation wants to help them out.
That's literally like
the
base income of a lot of Americans. That's like 66? That's 72,000 a year. 6,000 a month is 72,000. That's the base income. A lot of people don't even make that. A lot of people make way under that.
That's higher than the median income.
Right.
That's yeah. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm me, I'm kind of a lowercase L libertarian, but I've definitely changed my opinion on healthcare. I think healthcare for profit is wrong, and we need to change it.
Right. Yeah, in 2019, the median is half that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So I think that I don't know how, but we need to do something where people are not paying out of pocket for stuff like that.
Right.
Because, someone who, through no fault of their own, gets some, because obviously MS, you can't, it's not like an STD. You can't contract it or anything. You can't avoid getting it. It just happens to you. And then you end up, well, guess what? You can either pay this exorbitant bill for the rest of your life or, well, just suffer.
Not be able to operate,
Yeah. So those are your choices. Have fun with it. And it's like, so you go on disability, but then the government says, well, you don't have to be on disability because you can take this medication and be better. But I can't afford the medication.
Right. Why are you not choosing to take the medication? We're not going to give it to you because there's a medication that fixes you. That's crazy. Yeah. Oh, he's gone again. All right, guys. Not only as a promotion for good reasons per se, but to sideline Janeway and cut her some slack to go through the trauma of Voyager's command. I have said this before. The only reason Janeway is an admiral and not sitting in a prison is because of the goodwill and the time that she got back. It was the ship that returned. It was the ship that fought all the odds.
Again.
Nope, you're still here.
I was there for a second.
Yeah, you're still here. It was the ship that fought against the odds, and so she and it was after the Dominion War, and everyone was basically, a lot of people were dead, at least by Trek standards. So they gave her a promotion. She got lucky when she returned because she needs to be in a prison more than anything else. Someone was asking,
Janeway?
yeah, if Janeway should have been promoted to Admiral before Picard.
Oh, please. Yeah, Janeway, prison, too good for her.
It's too good for her? What, summary execution? What exactly?
Slave labor camp.
Slave labor camp, you say?
Yeah. She should be working with all those holograms mining dilithium.
Well, she would probably create her own like cult, or like
Yeah, she probably would.
turn them into like an army and take over.
The cult of the Prime Directive.
The cult of the Prime Directive, what they call it. And she would overthrow the Starfleet government.
Oh.
Oh man, she did murder Tuvok. She did. She murdered him in cold blood. That was actually, unfortunately, made her look like a monster. But the way they wrote it was so well done. When was the last time you saw the Tuvix episode?
I haven't watched Tuvix in a while. My basic philosophical position, though, is that honestly,
I'm glad you completely agree with me. I think that it was murder, and I think that that's a good way to take it. So, if you disagree, you can say something, but... All right, well, I'm glad that we agree on that. I saw the Tuvix episode 2 weeks ago. It has such good writing, though. I really, really enjoyed when he was, like, begging for his life and stuff. I was just glad that...
you really enjoy people begging for their lives? That's what you like?
I take the Janeway approach. I can appreciate a scene where it was really well done. But anyway, I'm glad you agreed with me that it was straight murder.
No, I said that it's not murder because of the fact that Tuvok and Neelix both recovered, which means that she did the right thing because they were not dead.
Tuvok would have given, as a Starfleet officer, do you think Tuvok would have given his life to save Tuvix if they were two separate people?
Doesn't matter.
No, just answer the question. Just answer the question. Do you think he would have given his life?
Doesn't matter.
Just answer. Yeah, because you know what the answer is. So I'll answer it for you. Yes. I'll ask you the next question. Is Neelix's life of any value?
Yes.
This is how I know that TOS is crap. Because if you think Neelix has any value as a person, then obviously your opinions are very skewed.
So you think that Neelix has no value just because he's a hedgehog?
I think Neelix has no. I think Neelix has no value because it's Neelix.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't have I have pretty strong opinions about Hitler and Thanos too when it comes to characters. I mean, well, Hitler.
So you rank Neelix with Hitler and Thanos?
Yeah, I do. I would say.
Wow.
He's just an inept.
Well, I know he's kind of inept, but that doesn't make him evil. I mean,
he's a pretty evil individual. I mean, it's you got to read between the lines, but you know what? Maybe you're right. If you want to go ahead and give me a good reason, but if you can't, if you don't have any good counters, just stay quiet. Okay.
I mean,
well,
come on, dude.
I guess we're right. Thank you so much for agreeing
Really?
with me. I'm glad that you went quiet
Really?
for any of
There
the.
goes. There frickin' goes.
Hey, buddy. So I'm glad I asked you to give me any good counters. Obviously, you couldn't. There was a long silence there, and I appreciate it. I'm glad that we could have this this conversation. I think that a lot was learned.
Yeah, I think what was learned is that you are a sick bastard.
Oh, I'd kill Neelix. Nobody likes Neelix. Who wouldn't kill? I honestly think it's the humane thing to do.
Wow.
So, joking aside, the interesting thing is that when it comes to Tuvix, I think Neelix is the outlier with that. Because I think Tuvok would have probably given his life for Tuvix, and I think that it just comes with the job. Sometimes things like that happen.
I don't think so.
Neelix is a civilian, so I don't.
I think that Tuvok would invoke the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one.
Let's invoke that then. Let's talk about it. So we know that through the dialogue Tuvix does both Neelix's job and Tuvok's job better. That's from Janeway herself. He is able to keep the crew safer because he gets all of the security stuff done faster. The food is better and morale is increased with Tuvok versus Neelix. Now, let's talk about the needs of the Mini. The Intrepid class vessel, hold on, vessel crew holds, let's see, hold on, I'm going to get it for you in just a second, holds holds approximately 150 people. So, if you look at the needs of the energy and food consumption, one person takes up less than two people. So not only does he do their jobs better, but he's taking up less energy, less food, which means they survive more. So I agree. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
You are really a sick man.
I've had to argue that so many times that I instantly knew the counter to it.
You are really just a sick man.
I don't know. I think the problem with it, honestly, the problem with that entire episode is that the quandary is written really well, and the acting for Tuvix and Janeway is like excellently done. So it makes it hard to watch and hard to discuss. I don't are you still here?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know if it went quiet again.
One of these, I'm just mess with you. Go what?
Yeah. Did you watch the probably not. Do you still watch South Park at all?
Occasionally. I haven't watched it in a while.
They have a COVID special. It's an actual special, and Cartman will log on to talk on his Zoom or whatever for the class, and he'll act like his computer's messing up, and then he brings up a little sign that looks like his computer is frozen, and then he goes and does something else. It's excellent.
I'm gonna have to start doing that.
That's a good way. So anyway, I mean, but don't you think that it was at least those scenes were really well done, which makes
I'm not saying the episode was poorly done, but I do think that restoring Tuvok and Neelix was the moral imperative.
I mean, so it was moral because their lives mattered as well. That would be the only argument. And again, I still think that Tuvok would sacrifice himself for Tuvix. And this was basically, this stuff happens in Trek. Like you will die and someone else will live. That's a part of what being a part of Starfleet is. I think the real question is Neelix, who was a civilian.
Right.
I mean,
but the problem is that you're assuming that, and Janeway was in a position because she's captain. And this is one of the moral responsibilities of a captain, is you have to be able to make those kinds of choices.
Right.
But she had to make the choice for three people, right? You had Tuvix, Tuvok, and Neelix. And so she had to decide who lives and who dies in this situation. And no matter what choice she makes, someone's going to live, someone's going to die.
Right. It was the Kobayashi Maru for her, for sure. I think.
Right. But the choice is one dies, two lives, or two dies, one lives. And so, given that, and also the fact that the two lives, one dies, is that the two pre-existing people live, as opposed to the one who was kind of a freak accident dies.
But the counter to that is, which would you prefer? One person lives and 100...
Personal preference is irrelevant.
Which do you think is the better outcome? One person living and giving 150 people a better chance than two people living and them having a diminished chance?
But it's not about my personal preference.
No, I asked you. I didn't say preference. I changed my line. Which do you think is the better?
And I don't think it's about that. I think it's about the moral imperative, and the moral imperative is to restore the two people whose lives were involuntarily lost.
She doesn't have a moral imperative to save the 150 some people that are on that ship?
She's working on that every day. Well, except for on day one where she said, screw it, we're going to stay.
Or where she's written badly. But no. But I mean, does no one care about the flower? The flower never came back. That's true. We forgot that.
Yeah, screw the flower.
I love how the uniform changes and has a floral thing on it too. Do you notice that? And with Tuvok's, his thing has like a floral pattern from the flower.
But I do think that she made the moral choice.
So you think the Doctor was immoral in saying I wouldn't take his life?
I think that the proper moral choice was to restore Tuvok and Neelix.
Sure.
Yes.
So just so you'll say it, you think the Doctor was immoral in not taking his life?
I don't know what immoral means, but
well,
immoral.
It is the opposite of it. It's the same thing. You're just upset.
I like making fun of you mispronouncing things.
You just got mad because I kicked your butt on the Vulcan saying. You're just mad about that.
The Vulcans. No, you didn't kick my butt on anything. You just had a pre-scripted answer for that.
Because everyone uses it. It's not as black and white, I think.
I think it absolutely is. I think that it's very simple. That you have two people who involuntarily were merged into one. I don't think that Tuvix is being killed at all. I think that he is being split in two, and those two are still, I mean, Tuvix is still alive in the form of Tuvok and Neelix. And yes, you could make the opposite argument in that Tuvok and Neelix are still alive in the form of Tuvix. But Tuvok and Neelix did not voluntarily get merged together.
But wouldn't they always live inside of him?
Doesn't mean it was voluntary.
Drop the utilitarian act. It's about the... drop the utilitarian argument. It's about the act of intentionally ending Tuvix. No matter what utilitarian good comes from it, the argument should be that you can't just kill. Is what Jonathan Nathan Shah
and Donovan, he wasn't saying amoral, he was saying immoral. He just mispronounced it and just kept saying immoral.
Immoral.
Because
immoral.
because Lord can't pronounce things. It's okay. It's like for the longest time he kept saying shields. Yeah.
So you're not going to respond to Jonathan? That's what I'm hearing from that. I bet the Trill would have a say. All right, so we're going to end this soon. But did you know, behind the scenes, the Trill originally in Deep Space Nine, in Season 1, all of the Trill were joined, or supposed to be, and it was because of some catastrophe that... Are you gone again? He's gone again, and I'm talking to myself. Why couldn't he go when we're having the argument? Honestly, how good of an episode is that it makes this much of a debate? Lord doesn't know talking good like you and me. That's true, I don't. Then Janeway is immoral.
Oh, there we go.
Did you know that the Trill all of the Trill were supposed to be joined? And what happened is that there was a calamity. The Trill got pushed into the core of the planet or underground or whatever, and they joined, and they were all supposed to be joined according to Season 1 behind the scenes.
No. But I do know that the real question about Tuvix is what would Badgie do?
That's true. Well, I mean, you own the rights to Badgie, so you get...
I do. I own the rights to Badgie. Since I made this perfect... And in fact, my Badgie is an improvement because my Badgie is truly three-dimensional, as you can see.
Right.
And physically in the real world, which means that since I've improved on Badgie, I legitimately own the copyright. So if anybody puts out a Badgie, then I'm going to file a copyright strike against your channel.
Which you can do.
Yes, which I can legitimately do because I own Badgie.
God, that's
but yeah,
I'm not going to let that go for a long time.
So if Badgie, Badgie would saw Tuvix in half, absolutely say, "There you go, back to normal." Yeah, that would be awesome. Just literally cut Tuvix in half.
That would be actually. What would be funny is if they had Badgie and porn for him was watching Tuvix die, or immoral stuff that happened in previous.
I love watching Janeway.
that's his favorite captain is Janeway because of the death count that she has. Oh God, oh man. All right, guys. Badgie would go Old Testament and saw Tuvix in half. That's true.
There we go. So I think one of the best moments. I'm going to rewatch it now that you made me think about it, since we're only a little over 24 hours away from season 2 of Lower Decks. Is when they incorporated the Janeway maneuver into the holodeck simulator.
Right.
And all hell broke loose. That was so great.
I love that. You lost 101% of the crew. How do you lose more of the crew?
The children were ejected into space. And you know, I have friends. Look, I understand that some people, you know, that lower decks is not for everyone. But people were saying, "Oh, how horrible it is!" It's so, you know, that, oh my gosh, how can you make jokes about children being ejected into space? Because it's funny.
And they weren't. It's not
Yeah.
real. They weren't actually injected.
Yeah, and because that would never happen in Trek, that's why it's funny. You know.
You imagine, yeah. What is it? You had one of the season 1, season 2, where who was it? Not O'Brien. Who the hell was it? LaForge was in charge, and that happens. He accidentally gets him killed.
Yeah, can you see Picard eject the nursery into space? The daycare center eject him. I thought Badgie. That's why I made this Badgie, because I think Badgie was the best thing. I mean, I love Badgie. The fact this cute little badge and he goes all psycho and kills people. That's freaking hilarious.
Well, and the way when he has the safeguards on and he has to do double entendres is funny as well. Like I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm your friend.
Well, no, it's like when he had the safeguards on and they were doing the virus for the Pkwy's, and he's like, "You won't betray me, will you?" And he says something like, "The viruses will work." He doesn't actually answer the question. It's awesome. All right, so I guess we're going to end there before your thing dies. So, guys, you should check out Salty Trekker. You'll get to see him every 30 seconds or so during live streams. He has some cool videos that are up there too, assuming Neon Visual doesn't create a high definition Salty Trekker name logo and then tries to copyright that, I guess. We'll be doing this every Tuesday. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. You have anything you want to say to the wonderful people of Wonderful?
Well, remember, I own Badgie. That's the first thing to remember. True. Hopefully, I'm going to try to do it. I'm working on a battle breakdown for.
I guess we're going to have to end it right there, guys. I mean, I personally wanted to hear what the battle breakdown was for, but I guess we just can't. Hey, Salty, found the USS Discovery's engineering room yet? Yeah, I asked. So we're off. It's gone. They'll never hear that. We're actually still live.
Yeah. So, did you hear any of that?
No. It was at the very end. We're still live. It was at the very end, and it was like, "I'll be doing the battle of," and then you cut off. It was gone.
Yeah. So I'm working on the Battle of Sacrifice of Angels. It's going to be a cool video. Then, does anybody know if that battle has a name? Because
it's Operation Return is the only thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like everybody's the Battle of System whatever. But nobody has a name for this one. Anyway, but that one, and then a third video on that particular episode about the Deus Ex Machina of the Prophet Save the Day. So the 3 parts to the Sacrifice of Angel series, and then a follow-up as to what would the changes that I'm proposing do to the rest of season 6 and season 7. After that, we're going to move on to another favorite episode that may have something to do with a certain game that Quark played in season 1 that involves singing. And so, which I know is Laura's favorite episode of Deep Space Nine.
It is. I also have no idea what you're talking about. So
really, you have no idea?
Where the Battle of Verizon 589. Okay. No, I have no idea. When was he singing? That stupid episode. Yeah, I don't know. All right, guys, we'll check you on the next one, on the Hizzy Hiz.
On the Hizzy Hiz?
On the Hizzy Hiz.
The heck is the